Hi guys, how are you today? Ready for new stories? I have 5 today. Let's go to the first one. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment.
My daughter, 26, is adopted. She started meeting her bio family after she had her son 3 years ago. I never went against her decision to have her bio family in her life. I've always encouraged her to give them a chance, especially her bio mom. But I noticed I was being gradually pushed to the side. Not just me, but the family too. No more Sunday dinners, no more trips, no more pictures, and not even weekly phone calls like we used to have. I figured she was busy being a mom, and she confirmed that, but her Facebook page showed me otherwise. There were tons of pictures of her visiting with her bio family and tons of pictures with my grandson. I realized she was making excuses to skip family time with us to be with her bio family more. Whenever her dad and I brought this up to her, she turned it into an argument in which she'd call us too sensitive or too jealous or not giving her space to get to know her bio family better. We had one big argument, and she never spoke again after she said no matter how much love and eagerness we show her, her bio family's love is greater and more natural. She stayed gone for months until her husband Thomas, who's always been struggling with heart condition, gotten worse. He is in the end stage of heart failure and is required to have an LVAD implant, but my daughter cannot afford it. Lately, she's been coming over a lot to talk about Thomas's condition. We do what we can to comfort her because she brought up the piece of land we have for my 14-year-old son's education. I refused to even have this conversation, but she kept pushing for us to sell the land and help her get the device. I said I was sorry, but that will go to her brother, who sees me and her dad as his parents and isn't willing to replace us like she did, and told her to go ask her bio family for the money. She was shocked and said that she couldn't believe how conditional my love for her was, and that I care more about being petty than my grandson's future with both parents, not a widowed mother. She started crying, calling us unsupportive, and that this is the time we show her we're truly family, instead of showing conditional love and act petty at her husband's expense. I said I'm sorry about Thomas, but that is all I had to say. She left, and we haven't heard from her since then. My husband says Thomas and our grandson are innocent, and maybe we should help out now, then settle our conflict later. But that is a lot of money, and I feel I'm not obligated to give even without the whole drama from her bio family. I'm upset, but I don't resent my daughter, as she's struggling with a lot. But at this point, I feel like she's only keeping us around for money, given that we paid for many things in the past while her bio family did nothing. Not the a-hole. She's the one showing conditional love, and if bio's family's love is greater and more natural, then why aren't they paying? I want to be really petty and say that greater and more natural love wasn't enough for them to keep her and raise her, but I know that's a low blow. At this point, I would not sell the land and give her money. She has shown that she only wants money now, so it's on her to figure it out. Most states have some form of welfare, social services, to help gravely ill people, so she should explore that option. I feel really sad for OP and OP's grandson. OP loved her and raised her, and now OP's relationship has been reduced to a transactional state. She really should be ashamed of herself. Me, 23 male, and my girlfriend, 19 female, have been in a long-distance relationship for about 8 months. We have met in person and spent multiple weeks together, so we aren't complete strangers. About 6 months before I met her is when her last relationship ended. She found out her ex had been cheating on her. Now the situation is a little more difficult, and 6 months prior to their breakup, he moved states to where she lives and moved in with her and her parents. They used to live in the same state and were best friends for the better part of 5 years before they started dating. Her mom got a job in another state, which required them to move about 6 months after they started dating. And after doing long distance for about another 6 months, that's when her parents let him move down so they could be together. After he cheated and they broke up, he continued to live there as his family was in the process of moving across the country. So he lived there for about another 6 months after they separated, and now he's in another state. That's the backstory, so you know. My situation now is very frustrating. They still talk often on Snapchat and FaceTime. I take an issue with that and have voiced that to her, but she told me that he is her best friend and she will never stop talking to him. She says he doesn't see him as an ex anymore and just a good friend because, as she says, He has been there for her through a lot of hard times before they started dating. It's the ex's birthday coming up soon, and he is flying back to her state to spend a week there for his birthday. Her mom offered to let him stay at their house again. This is something I told her I was very uncomfortable with, but that didn't change anything. He's flying back to go hook up with the girl he cheated on her with, and to see his old friends, which includes my girlfriend. I will note that my girl's parents love her ex, even after all the terrible things he did to their daughter, and that is something I cannot understand. They never tried to kick him out after he cheated. They continued to give him a place to stay and put food on his plate after all that happened. When I told her I was uncomfortable with him staying there, she basically told me to just deal with it. I told her that I feel it's super disrespectful towards us and me to have him staying with you, and also going out and hanging out with him, especially since I'm not there. She told me that by me saying that it was manipulation, so I just dropped it and tried to move on. That is not the only issue though, as something else that is continuing is when they talk, he always tells her, "I don't know why you still talk to him," or "I don't know why you give him the time of day," and etc. I told her that at the very least, if you aren't going to stop talking to him, then she needs to set boundaries and make sure he just acts like a friend. He constantly tries to tell her how to live and what to do, always asking her what she's doing when she's with me, and has the need to know our business. She did talk to him, and he stopped asking so many questions, but he still continues to ask why she's with me. He also complains because they don't FaceTime as much as they used to, and she doesn't respond to him every second, and I told her to tell him to deal with it. I don't want to feel like I come second after an ex, and she told me I was wrong for saying that I should be a priority over him. They continuously fight, and he says a lot of ducked up and hurtful crap to her, and she will come crying to me, and I tell her that he doesn't sound like a good friend if he's saying all of that to you and making you feel this way. She asks for my opinion, and I tell her that he's a crappy person and that she shouldn't be talking to him. But then she goes into this defense mode and tells me not to talk about him like that, and tells me how much he used to be there for her and all this crap. I don't want to feel like an a-hole by giving her an ultimatum and telling her to pick between me and him. I don't even know if that's the right thing to do, so that's why I typed this, to ask for advice. I don't know if I'm over-exaggerating, and it's not that big of a deal. I don't know how to go about it anymore, because I feel like no matter what I do, I'm wrong. I apologize for this being so long. Any advice I'd appreciate. Sounds to me like she is and was in a toxic relationship with the guy. She doesn't value OP, period. There is no regard for OP's feelings when it comes to her ex. She values him more than she does OP and has told OP to get stuffed. OP needs to ghost her and walk away. My mom, 62 female, has been single since my, 29 female, parents split when I was 6, and has only ever had brief holiday romances with Cypriots and Turks since then. A few of these ended badly. Found out one was married, gave one $10K. Safe to say, she's quite the gullible type. About 4 years ago, my mom met this guy while she was on holiday, breaking up with the latest Turkish fling. He was super charming, wined and dined her big time. They were on the phone every day, said they loved each other within a week, and within a month went out to visit him. Mom called me one night super upset because she'd found his ID. He'd told her he was 42, but actually, he was 35. I told her to call it quits, but she rang me after she got back to tell me that they'd talked it through. Apparently, he was born in a really small village in Turkey and didn't go to a hospital until he was 7 years old. That was the date they put on his birth certificate. I know this can happen, but I struggle to think that the doctor wouldn't make a guesstimate. She bought it hook, line, and sinker. Next followed a few more months of lovey-dovey, and within 3 months of meeting him, she was quitting her job and saying she'd moved to Turkey. I was alarmed, so started doing some sleuthing. Found his Facebook, and saw 90% of his friends were Caucasian, overweight, and divorced, widowed. I messaged the women and overnight got 10 or so responses. He asked me for $40K. He's engaged to my friend. He gave me a nervous breakdown after he ran away with $10K, etc., etc. I showed all these messages to my mom, thinking it would give her a bit of a reality check. Spent a weekend cheering her up from the breakup, but as soon as I left, got a message from her saying, I spoke to him and he explained everything. These women are just jealous. We only had one last interaction just before she left, where she said I should watch out, as he knows powerful people. If I try and slander him again, and that if all goes wrong and she loses all her money and never talks to me again, it's all worth it. Fast forward to today. We've not spoken, and I've only had a few messages from her saying she misses me, but regrets nothing. I've recently heard from family that despite selling her house just 3 years ago for $400,000, she's almost run out of money and will likely be back soon, which has got me thinking. Am I the a-hole if I just can't care anymore and want to stay far away from the situation? Is it awful to leave the rest of my family to deal with it? Honestly, the last few years with no contact has done wonders for my mental health, and my aunt has said my input wouldn't change anything. I'm worried she'll be back soon, broke and trying to sponge off my elderly grandparents. I feel awful for them having to deal with it, but also can't financially support her myself, even if I wanted to. Not the a-hole. OP cannot protect her mom from herself. She doesn't seem to be open to OP's observations and thoughts. Sad, but she will be living with the consequences of her bad decisions for a long time. OP should not feel guilty at all. OP tried to help her, and she declined. My husband and I have 3 children, 13, 11, and 2. My husband had some health issues and has to work from home for less pay. $15,000 less than before. It's not fun. An old friend of mine from school got married last week, and we were invited. We don't get out much, so we accepted. We can't afford to spend too much on a gift, so I knitted 3 chunky knit blankets for them. She was somewhat standoffish at the wedding, but I didn't think anything of it. She specifically mentioned that she thinks we have too many children. 2 days later, she called me and tore into me about the gift. She said, "How dare I make such a cheap, pathetic gift? How gifts are supposed to cover the cost of the wedding, and ours didn't cut it." She then threatened to sue me for $500 to cover the costs. CPS showed up yesterday morning. Yes, she had a badge and everything to prove that she actually works for them. Someone had reported us for supposedly having 3 children living in a 1-bedroom house in poverty and not attending school. We have a 3-bedroom house. The girls, 13 and 11, share. The kids are homeschooled, but I follow an actual curriculum, and they test at above grade level every year. The CPS worker said that we seem to be living very well for people that claim to not have much money. How she knew that, I have no idea. She wants all of our banking and financial records by next Wednesday. Can she just demand that? I honestly don't even know where to start. My best guess here is that the bride has a friend who works for CPS and apparently cares very little for her job. 2 things to do. 1. Verify this person works for CPS. And 2. Alert the supervisor they are demanding financial numbers, etc. Me, 31 female, and my ex-fiancé, 37 male, had been together for almost 9 years and were supposed to get married last December. So in June 2018, I discovered that I was pregnant. We both were very excited as we were going to be first-time parents. Things were going on well and we were very happy. However, everything came crashing down one day when I came across some mails on my ex's laptop while he was in the shower. I opened them and what I saw broke my heart. My ex was cheating on me with my friend. In the mails, he claimed that he was in love with her and that he was marrying me only because I got pregnant. From the mails, I came to know that they had been seeing each other for over a year and that they actually had S in our bedroom. Apparently, one of their kinks would be them sneaking into our home while I was away at work. She would put on my jewelry and they would have S in our bedroom. Needless to say, I was disgusted. From the mails, I also got to know that they were planning another escapade in our home next weekend when I was supposed to be away on a work trip. I knew I needed proof of my ex's cheating, so I quickly took pictures of their emails and left the house to cry. When I came back, I pretended everything was okay. The next day, I went to my appointment alone where I came to know that my baby was not going to survive. Back in my office, I got a promotion offer which would increase my pay 2 times and require me to relocate to another country for a few years. I canceled my work trip that weekend and decided to stay back in the city. So the next day, I pretended to be away, but actually lurked near our home. And there she was. She got out of the car and they kissed. I decided that I was done with the relationship. I took up the job offer and began planning my move. The move was supposed to happen in December when I would be 7 months pregnant. Back home, I continued to behave normally and even went to look at wedding dresses with his mother. His family had a baby shower planned for me, and I went ahead with that. Finally, December rolled around, and while he was away, I packed up my stuff, blocked him everywhere, and left the country. When he came back, my crap was gone, and the only thing he found was a note in the middle of our bed with the words written, "I know." I gave birth to my baby in the new country. Spent some time with him before he passed in my arms. Things gradually returned to normal in my life as I settled in the new country and began immersing in my job. I began seeing a therapist, and I am doing now well. So last night, out of curiosity, I peeked at his mom's Facebook, where she posted about me kidnapping her grandson and pushing my ex to alcohol. I heard that he was depressed. When I told a friend about it, he told me that I was the a-hole for ghosting him, that I owe my ex the truth about his son. So, am I the a-hole? OP is justified in ghosting him for what he did to her. But OP really should find a way to let him know that the child died and why. Plenty of ways to do this without letting him know where OP is. It's the humane thing to do. I would also go out of my way to set the record straight with the family. They did nothing wrong and seemed to be of the wrong impression about OP. I would do this just to clear my own name.